This is from Kampala, Uganda. So Uganda has agreed to a deal with the United States to take deported migrants as long as they don't have criminal records and are not unaccompanied minors, the Foreign Ministry said Thursday. The ministry said in a statement that the agreement had been concluded, but the terms were still being worked out. It added that Uganda prefers that the migrants sent there be of African nationalities, but did not elaborate on what Uganda might get in return for accepting deportees. The U.S. Embassy in Uganda declined to comment on what it called diplomatic negotiations, but said that diplomats were seeking to uphold U.S. President Donald Trump's policy of keeping Americans safe. The Trump administration has been seeking ways to deter migrants from entering the country illegally and to deport those who already have done so, especially those with criminal records, and including those who cannot easily be deported to their own country. Human rights activists criticized Human rights activists criticized the deportee deal as possibly going against international law. Yeah. Henry Okello Oryem, a Uganda state minister for foreign affairs, on Wednesday had denied that any agreement on deportees had been reached, though he said his government was in discussions about visas, tariffs, sanctions, and related issues. He also suggested that his country would draw the line at accepting people associated with criminal groups. We are talking about cartels, people who are unwanted in their own countries. How can we integrate them into local communities in Uganda, he said at the time. Oryem and other Ugandan government officials declined to comment on Thursday. Opposition lawmaker Muwada Kuyingi suggested that a deal with the United States would give the Ugandan government legitimacy ahead of elections and urged Washington not to turn a blind eye toward what he described as human rights and governance issues in Uganda. Uganda's leaders will rush into a deal to clear their image now that we are heading into the 2026 elections, Kuyingi said. Human rights lawyer Nicholas Opio likened a deportee deal to a human trafficking and said it would leave status of the deportees unclear. Are they refugees or prisoners? Right. The proposed deal runs afoul of international law. We are sacrificing human beings for political expediency. In this case, because Uganda wants to be in the good books of the United States, he said. That I can keep your prisoners if you pay me. How is that different from human trafficking? In July, the U.S. deported 5 men with criminal backgrounds to the southern African kingdom of Eswatini, and sent 8 more to South Sudan. The men from Cuba, Jamaica, Laos, Yemen, and Vietnam sent to Eswatini are being held in solitary confinement until they can be deported to their home countries, which could take up to a year. A legal challenge in the U.S. had halted the deportation process of the 8 men in South Sudan, but a Supreme Court ruling eventually cleared the way for them to be sent to South Sudan. Uganda has had challenges with the U.S. after lawmakers passed an anti-homosexuality bill in 2023 that punishes consensual same-sex conduct with penalties including life imprisonment. Washington threatened consequences, and the World Bank withheld some funding. In May of 2024, the U.S. imposed sanctions on Uganda's parliamentary speaker, her husband, and several other officials over corruption and serious abuses of human rights. Yeah, and he wants to send people there. And we know that he's deporting people without criminal records. We know that. We have known that. He deported U.S. citizens, U.S. children, whose citizenship is the United States. If you deport them anywhere else, they're still going to be the U.S. citizens. You can't take their citizenship. Oh, but we can deport them, and maybe they won't complain too much. Well, that little kid, that little girl with cancer, her family is suing the Department of Justice, and I hope it goes far. And they agreed to take deported migrants to look legitimate before their 2026 elections. As long as they don't have criminal records. And we know, and now we know for fucking sure, that he's been deporting people without criminal records. And that is the same as the same as trafficking. And all the children that have disappeared too. Where have they gone? To what purpose will they be used? I wonder, quietly to myself. Yeah, we know the history. We have a sex trafficker in the White House. What the heck do you expect to happen to kids that are deported to countries they are not from? And they had to expressly say no unaccompanied minors because they don't give a fuck. Our government, our fascist fucking government, doesn't give a fuck. They're just sending little kids away. They don't care. Just send them. Somebody will pick them up, right? Somebody will put them to good use, huh, Trump? Yeah, yeah. Just like you do. Just like you do. Where's the Epstein files? Where are they? They were supposed to be released Tuesday, 48 hours ago. Where are they?